one of the things that happens as we go into the next year, it's happened every year since 2005, with the exception of 2019, when the NFL decided that for the 100th season, it would be Bears-Packers to start the year. Typically, the Super Bowl champion hosts the season opening game. And the caveat I'll apply to this year, we got this Rams 49ers game in Melbourne, which is a 19-hour time difference. Like, at a certain point, isn't it just a 5-hour time difference? Like, if you go over 12, like, it's just the next day.
Yes.
But I got a feeling that the 2026 season is going to begin with that game, and I'm going to throw a dart and say they're going to play that game Labor Day weekend as a test case for going back to Labor Day football generally. So I believe, right, and I have nothing to base this on other than, what my eyes can see and my ears can hear. I think we're going to see Rams 49ers Labor Day weekend, which means Seahawks won't be the first game, but that Thursday night on NBC will be played in Seattle, and they got, because one of the boxes I check every year, whether I'm in the press box or, in a different location, in a much different chair, I still type up the next game, the next regular season game for the Super Bowl champion, and you pull up their opponents for the next season. It's like, here are the games that can be played. And Myles, I'm intrigued by the potential games that could be played by the Seattle Seahawks at home in 2026, by the games that will be played at home, and by the ones that could end up, or the one more specifically, that could end up being the first game of the season.
Yeah,
there's some good games.
Yeah, there are some very good and very interesting opponents. I mean, in some ways, it is unfortunate that the Rams and 49ers seem likely, I mean, they haven't announced a date and but it just feels like that game should be played week one, so that, if you have the time difference, you can at least do something in order to mitigate that. Because, I mean, to me, I would love to see Seahawks Rams week one, NFC Championship game rematch. Let's go. Let's have the MVP out there in that showcase game. But, it's one of these things that now you're looking at it and it's like, oh, the Patriots are on there. The Chiefs are on there. The Chargers are on there. The Cowboys are on there. The surprising Bears this year. I mean, there are a lot of really good, interesting matchups that we can see with the Seahawks when they, when they unfurl that banner.
All right, so let's do a draft, and there are 9 potential opponents. We're going to pick 3 each. 3 plus 3 is 6. So 6 of the potential opponents. And you know what? It's actually worthy, because there are 6. Hell, there's 8 potentially compelling games. Everything but Arizona, sorry Cardinals, is a worthy and compelling week one game for the Seattle Seahawks. And even then, 25 to 30 million would tune in to watch, because it's the Seahawks. And they had a pretty good week 4 Thursday night game that went down to the wire. That was the night that the Cardinals were there. I was riding my bike behind my friend who was going through a mud puddle uniforms, which I actually liked. But that's the vibe of the whole thing. I got sprayed with mud by my buddy and his bike in front of me as we were riding through the canyon. Okay, give me your top pick for the best game to start the season for the Seattle Seahawks, Myles.
All right, I'm just going to go with the Chiefs because, there's no guarantee that Patrick Mahomes is going to be out there, for week one coming off the ACL. It's suffered late in the year, but we've seen Patrick Mahomes, man, right? Like this dude, I will be very surprised if Patrick Mahomes is not out there ready to play week one, just based on everything we know about his work ethic, how he recovers and how he does all these different things. And so is this going to be the Patrick Mahomes revenge tour, after everything that team went through in 2025? We'll see. But I would love to see it start on that first Thursday night against the Seahawks. That, to me, would be a great way to start the 2026 season.
I hadn't thought of it this way, Miles, but there's a lot of projection that gets done by the league office when they're trying to put together the schedule. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be making an educated guess in early May, because remember, it used to be before the draft. Now it happens a couple of weeks after the draft, making a projection as to whether or not Mahomes is going to be good to go week one. You're taking a hell of a chance. You're taking a hell of a chance if you put that game week one that we're not going to have Mahomes, and he's not going to be at his best. So I'm intrigued by Seahawks-Chiefs, but at the same time, I think it's safer to hold that one until later in the year. Make it a primetime game, but I think that we're better off with a team where we know, barring some injury that happens between now and then, that the quarterback's going to be available. How about them Cowboys?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not Cowboys Seahawks to start the season? They've had some good games in recent years, and it's the Dallas Cowboys. That's a way to empty the tank early, because that's another one that you could put elsewhere, and it could be a huge game. I'm always impressed when the NFL puts in one of the big spots a game that you could put somewhere else, and in and of itself, it's going to be a big game. But that would be a great way to start the season. And who knows how good the Cowboys are going to be this year. I think they will be better than last year. I think they'll be a playoff contender. And that would be a hell of a buzz. That would be a hell of a sizzle to start the season. Cowboys, Seahawks. So that's my first pick.
No, anytime you get the Cowboys, right? I mean, we know that they're a ratings juggernaut for a reason. And, going into this season with Dak Prescott, second year with Schottenheimer, maybe second year with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. Yeah, that is a pretty sexy week one matchup, if I would definitely say so. But I think for my second pick, I would go with the Bears. The Bears had a really, really, really good 2025. Under Ben Johnson. You saw Caleb Williams start to grow up a little bit. The exciting fourth quarters that they played, the playoff game against the Rams, and one of the great fourth down passes that you will ever see from any quarterback ever, with Caleb Williams there to help force that game into overtime. I mean, that also makes for a really enticing week one matchup right there.
I had already forgotten, and it's funny the weird little things you will remember, like the Cardinals and the Seahawks playing on a random Thursday night in late September, early October, and the Cardinals in there. I was riding behind my buddy on his bike in a mud puddle uniforms, and I had forgotten that the Cowboys started last season at Philadelphia. I don't know if that would disqualify them from going, or they started in Philly. I don't know if that keeps him from going to Seattle this year, but the Cowboys are the Cowboys, and the NFL is going to do whatever it wants to do. And one thing about Cowboys-Eagles, there was a time where I think they shied away from division rivalries to start the season, although I remember being at MetLife Stadium to start the 2012 season with the Cowboys at the Giants. That was the game where Jason Witten was doubtful with a spleen injury and ended up playing in that game. You rarely see a guy play when he's listed as doubtful. But the Rams at the Seahawks, the Rams at the Seahawks, that would be a hell of a way to start it. If we're going to go division rival, let's go. Let's go the next round of this great back and forth with Matthew Stafford already saying he's returning. Let's do it. Let's do it again in prime time, just like Week 16, Thursday night in 2025. Let's make it Week 1 in 2026.
I would very much enjoy seeing that. I think anytime these two teams are going to get together now, when you've got Rams and Seahawks with McVay and McDonald, and hopefully we get to see it, for the next several years, that's going to be fun, at any point in time. You know what? Give me the Giants, actually, is my third pick. And, it's mainly because I want to see what the Giants look like with John Harbaugh in his debut with his new team, and I think that would be a fun featured matchup, because we've not seen John Harbaugh with another team other than the Ravens, right? And so what do the Giants look like now? And are they still going to be a team that can't hold a lead, right? Is Jackson Dart going to be better in his second year? What does Matt Nagy look like as a full-time play caller? And he's also got Greg Roman to help with the run game. I mean, all these things make the Giants a really intriguing watch throughout the course of the 2026 season. But, I think going up to Seattle would be a tough task. for a Jackson Dart, right, to start the 2026 season. But because of the Harbaugh effect and the Harbaugh element there, yeah, I'd love to see that to start the year.
I hadn't even thought of that. But yes, on paper, we'd see Giants, Seahawks and think, oh, boy. But yes, Harbaugh, Dart, healthy Scatterboo, maybe. That could be an interesting way to get things started. Next one for me, my God, we're going to do 4 rounds here. The Cardinals are going to be the last kid picked on the playground. I'm sorry, Cardinals. We're gonna. That's how many compelling games there are on the Seahawks home schedule next year. And I'm torn here. I guess I'll go 49ers. I can't say Patriots. I don't want to watch that again. I don't want to watch a rematch of what we saw. Maybe the Patriots are going to be the last kid left on the playground. I'll go 49ers. Just to see whether or not the 49ers can score a touchdown.
Yeah, if you're going to go 49ers, then I will go Chargers because, I would like to see what Justin Herbert looks like with Mike McDaniel. Jeez, Lou. We still got this problem, Mike McDonald,
You got this problem.
Josh McDaniels.
It's McDaniels, not McDonald's. The rhymes are Daryl's. The burgers are Ronald's. Get it straight, please.
Oh, my gosh. I want to see Justin Herbert with Mike McDaniel calling his plays. That's what I'm trying to say. And, what does that look like, right? What does the run game look like with a Mike McDaniel offense and a Justin Herbert? What is the downfield passing game? Are the Chargers going to be able to get a better downfield option and a downfield threat? Because we know how Mike McDaniel loves to stretch the field with speed. That's an interesting pairing just in and of itself when you've got a Jim Harbaugh and a Mike McDaniel, on the same team. I would love to know what their offensive meetings are like. But also, Justin Herbert, we got to see him do something when the game really matters. In the postseason, these last 2 years have not been good for him. But let's see what he can do to start the year. And I think going up to Seattle will be a fun test.
You know what? And I can relate to being the last kid picked on the playground, so I'll sympathize with the Patriots. I'm leaving the Patriots. Give me the Cardinals. You know why? They got Mike LaFleur as the head coach now. He comes from that Rams tree. They're going to have a new quarterback. I don't know who it's going to be. I doubt it's going to be Kyler Murray, but they did play a great Thursday night game last year. It was in Arizona. The Cardinals lost 44-22 later in the year in Seattle, but by then the wheels had come off. You give me their top quarterback, week 1. Nobody's really going to know what to expect. Whoever they end up attracting, maybe it's a Kirk Cousins to Arizona, but they're going to be looking for a starting quarterback. Division rivalry, Cardinals, Seahawks, a little extra something. So the Super Bowl rematch. Yeah, nobody wants to see that again, including the Patriots. Do you really think the Patriots are going to want to go to Seattle to start their season against the team that just destroyed them? And like I said before, this wasn't if they played this game 10 times, the Patriots would win 3. The Patriots would win 0. Now, the teams are going to be very different by September, so maybe they'll have a better chance. But as of right now, the last thing I would want if I'm the Patriots is to have to see the Seahawks again right out of the gates. Let me get my juices flowing a little bit. Let me get a sweat going. Let me get into the season a little bit. Don't make me start the season with another embarrassment because, I don't know. I'm not saying that something like that could completely throw your season off course, but you get your ass kicked out of the gates by the team that just kicked your ass in the Super Bowl. That's a tough thing to come back from.
It is a tough thing to come back from. And I feel like the NFL wouldn't necessarily want to do that. We don't need to see that twice. Usually when there is a Super Bowl rematch and the teams are on the schedule, whatever, they play that a little bit later in the year. So I would hope that that's also
10 years ago. 10 years ago. They did it 10 years ago. Panthers and Broncos. Yeah. The last time they played at Levi's.
Yeah.
And it went down to the wire. It was a great game. That was the game where they kept hitting Cam Newton and didn't throw the flag. And that was when people realized, they just assume that because he looks like a superhero
Yeah.
That they just bounce off of him. He doesn't feel it. It's no big deal. He got destroyed in that game. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.